always nervous when I'm in interviews. Guys. Doesn't matter. Anyway, go back.
3, 2, 1.
Uyazi ukuthi ngihlala ngiphethe isisu mangenza lezi zinto lezi. Mara uyangibuza ukuthi are you ready? Sanibonani Dumelang. Hello guys. Welcome to ADN Lifestyle with Senate, brought to you by Audionomics Entertainment. Today we're coming to you guys from Newtown Junction. I've never been here.
Newtown Junction
Mina ngiyayisabi uJozi. Yo, I was like, yo, seJozi bazongitshontsha.
This is the good part of Jozi.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, so say Newtown Junction, say Vaya, as you can see. Ngihleli no Themba Makamo. You know, earlier on I was like, "Aish, ibe kingwana bo Tate Makamo funeral what?"
Yeah, no, I get that a lot.
Do you?
Are you related? Is this your brother? Yeah. But he's my brother.
Brother from another mother.
Yes.
So no blood relations.
No, not really, but yeah.
Mara niyafana nyana.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Wapora manak. I just had to put that in there. Sorry, Angfuni. Otherwise, are you good?
No, I'm good.
Good to see you finally.
No,
Good in this kuluma.
Yes, it's happening.
No,
but it's an honor, man. It's an honor. This is a great platform, and I appreciate the invite.
Oh, you're welcome. You're most welcome. When I'm saying rich and famous, Mazasa Singa, no one knew her. I want you to say those things.
Definitely.
All right. Today, I just want to talk about you.
Okay.
And you being from the East Rand. Shout out. Not just the East Rand, Ekatlehong.
Yes.
I want you to be specific. Katlehong gupi. Ubuya gupi Katlehong. Your upbringing, you know. Let's start in Dliniji. Ukule.
So, originally I was born in Mpumalanga.
Yeah.
I was born in Mpumalanga, and then my family moved when I was 1 year old. So I was born in the rural areas, and then back in those days, you know, when you wanted to, you know, find wealth per se, you know, or to better your life, you had to move to Joburg.
Of course.
So my dad moved to the east. He found a job at Waiteville.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because
Waiteville. My family.
Yeah, my family. Mangabe usetlishe with East Rand. It was probably because utolum sevens at Waiteville
or Al Road.
Or Al Road. Either.
Oh.
So I setlisha Katlehong. So I grew up good township about Themba's. We moved around before though.
Okay.
We moved around before we settled Themba's because Bistasha, you know, before we found our own place. So sike sahlala eGadebe, you know, sike sahlala eShongweni.
Ngale mazulwini nje ali kwabasuthu
No,
bophadima phoko phake phadima ali.
No. So yeah, back in those days it was really hectic about that. So Mawumzulu and my dad Umswati, so you needed to be. So yeah, wathola stand eMgadi.
Okay.
Ekhaya, you know, it started off just kuyimikhukhu. We had a three room shack. So my formative years were spent in a shack, and eventually my mom and dad, they built a house. So I grew up here eMgadi my whole entire life. Started school, I was eMgadi. There was that break. 94, 95 Magne violence, because we see very close to Emmaus there.
Oh yeah.
So we're the hardest hit, you know. So we had to move because there was a time batiba hunt abantwana babafana, and
life move.
It was a movie. Being a Katlehong at that time was
I can't remember anything from those because being mncane kakhulu.
No, it was hectic.
Wena bowubona yonke into.
Yes, you know, I laugh these days ukuthi, you know, there's when I see guys about cross-dresser, which is not wrong.
Yeah.
They're doing it out of, you know, utando. I just like dressing like women.
Yeah.
Back in those days, you were forced to go to kanjalo so that you can make it out. Ngoba once bakubamba usenkingeni. So yeah, I'm from that era. So we moved a bit. It was just a 2-year break. We sahamba sahlala eThembisa, and then we went to Mpumalanga again, and we came back to Mgadi 95. We left 93, we came back 95, yeah.
Yo, hectic. Ngathi singakubona sewafaka iduku.
Hey, bekunzima.
Ne-rock. Bakubiza bani ngaleso sikhathi igama lakho bani? Oh, ujabulile igama lakhe, Nkosi yami. I can only imagine.
Yeah, ukhulele Sprite. It was hectic, man. It was hectic. And, you know, that era was also, you only realize now, Masomdala, it was also a bit traumatic for a young boy. Because I remember there was a time where you would know ukuthi ubaba wakuphi ubulewe, just lapha ekhoneni bamdubulile, and mawuzwa makuxoxwa njalo ukuthi hey yazi ba izolo babulale no, and mawusesemncane I register ukuthi these things are not, you know. So growing up I started realizing that it was actually a traumatic experience, that whole violence thing. But you know, there's positives and negatives in everything. So the positive side is, for me, it allowed me sort of in a way to say I need to express this pain and this anger, and I started writing, you know, and my writings were specifically about that. That time I started writing poetry, I started writing, and I realized it's a great outlet in terms of releasing all that
anger.
Yeah. And you know, I started learning a lot of things about that, and I think it changed my whole life because I don't really like grouping people into Lom Venda, Lom Sutu, Lom Zulu, because I saw the effects of that. Umuntu bambulala without feeling anything for them, because they feel ukuthi melafe uyilento le, uyabona. So ayife leyo nja in, and you realize ukuthi it's because so bam demoted from being a human at the same level to being a subhuman, because of the language and the background. Yeah, so I started writing a lot about that, and it just gave me that creativity. I used that as you know, to as an outlet, and I feel it was my way of dealing.
Yeah, a form of release, coping mechanism, as the educated will say. So endlini beningak.
Yeah, I come from a big family.
Okay.
Yeah, I come from a big
Lucky
family.
you.
My dad. What's the right way to describe him? He
was generous. Was he generous?
He was a player. He was a player, you know, a ladies' man.
Okay.
So yeah.
And he was
a ladies' man. But yeah, so I've got lots of siblings, different mothers. So Ekaya with my mom, it was 7 of us.
Agnama twins lapo, we 7 times in labor.
In labor.
That woman is strong.
And when you think about it now, it's like,
what? 7 times.
Now it's unheard of. Yeah, so but yeah, it was 7 of us. I'm the 4th child, and I think being a 4th child pushes you to be very loud and expressive, because when you grow up in a big family, it forces you to raise your voice. Otherwise, ngeke udle, ngeke
personality.
Yeah, because bazothi bothuleleni, because bebakhuluma laba abanye. Uzohlala ulambe because
sibaningi.
Mawufika uthi amarisi inkwasami mina, but why ungashongo? Uyazi ukuthi nibaningi kanjani la endlini. So but I grew up in that kind of environment, and it helps you when you realize ezinye izinto later on in life ukuthi when you are in a crowd, you have to find a way to stand out and speak up. And I think it helped when I got into the sneakers business.
Yeah.
It's sort of like, I was like, oh, there's so many people now getting into it. And I'm coming from that environment of, there's so many of us in the house.
Yeah.
How do I stand out? How do I raise my voice and say, this is a different kind of sneaker, this has a different story? And it has helped because we've come out in a unique angle, we've done different things differently, and I think it resonated with people out there.
Of course it did. I can imagine having to be so loud. I'm calling you one. It's just me and my mom, so there's never a competition done on I'm new one. Poloni I'm new one. So I can't imagine having to be always outspoken and loud so that you are heard and understood.
Yeah.
So maukala, maybe sometimes we know that.
Hey, mochi akala, but somdala when abantwana naba yibo mele bakhala because it's 3 siblings after
you.
So Yeah, so yeah, it was that environment, but it has its perks, you know.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
I'm sure I've got brothers and sisters doing inside.
Yeah, and you adapt very
Yeah.
quickly. Yeah, you adapt very quickly because when you're in that situation, a lot of it, you know, when you're young, it's painful. You know, it's painful because there's things that you want, and if they buy it for you, then
What
they'd
about
have to
the
buy it for
others?
everyone else. So they'll say, no, angeke sithengele wena uyi-one because nalabo abanye bazoyifuna, and it hits you hard, yabo. And you have to adapt very quickly into that. Which, okay, you know what? I understand. Ukuthi, you know, I can't just be spoiled because sibaningi. But later on in life, you start realizing, ukuthi, okay, you become that kind of person, ukuthi, I'm not gonna build something that's gonna benefit me.
Yeah.
You know, mangena light shop, I'm the only one that's shining, and the people that I work with, you know, bona baya struggling.
Yeah,
And you just have that kind of mentality, ukuthi, I want all of us to make it. Whether it's my friends, I have to bring them along, whether it's my family
Yeah.
or my community, I just want all of us to make it. So everything that you thought, okay, it was negative, it was bad, but later on in life, you kind of realize
a
there was a
lesson.
positive.
Yeah.
There's a positive side of it as well.
Do you think, because Ben Banning Lapengling, do you ever feel like the love was not distributed equally? Was there favoritism?
You know, because then I didn't know much, yabo, I couldn't really, I can't categorize it and say, yes, I felt, okay, they were doing this for that one, or it felt like it was just a normal home, you know, it's other things, it's masomita abanye abantu, yabo, and you start realizing, ukuthi awusenathi mos, hey, hayiba yamthanda lapho ubheka yena ukuthi yeah, you can see ukuthi yena bayenza so, or they go to all her events, or they go to all her school meetings, and you have to share all of that with everyone else. Sometimes they tell you angeke ngikhona ukuza kuwe, you know this, but you never really felt it when you were young. You never felt it was any favoritism. You just felt it's just part of a big family, and it's all love. Yeah,
I'm sure it was nice and warm, and
yeah,
it
is. It is.
And then school,
yeah, I moved around with schools.
Is it?
And I started the first school I went to was Themba Makamo.
Okay.
Themba Primary School. Then got standard 2, we left. I went to another school in Mpumalanga. I spent 1 year in that school, and then I went to another one. I spent 1 year. I must be a Katlehong, and then I went to Noglunga.
Okay.
Noglunga Primary School, Lesali. And then from there, it was a high school where it was consistent because I went to 4 primary schools, and then high school I went to Mponteng. Yeah.
How was that? Mponteng is, well, Mponteng is not really popular. It's not like where the cool kids are. I find Nabapumlan in the K1. Well, I'm just saying from my own experience. But
yeah, but no, it was cool. Mponteng, it was nice, man. You know, but when you look back now, you realize we come from a different era. Because Tina, the pass rate was low. Begu isikhathi samagenge, bekunamanye amagenge wasemavimbela bathi ama Zafios.
Yo.
Skole. Bekujeckrolwa. Bekuyilesikhathi samagusheshe. And at that time, most afunde high school, you couldn't wait to finish so that now uzojoin the lifestyle.
No way.
Ngoba it was the only thing that was aspirational. It was the culture yamagenge. All of us, when I remember my siblings, all of us were like, enamanga, yabona ntwana manga, vaya nyogereza nkhona ukuba nekari, yabona spy. It was that culture. So, I'm saying the whole experience had those elements. But when I passed to, okay, wasn't great then, but we was standard 7. So Mang Pasela was standard 7. Yeah. But standard 6, I just bumped into hip hop, now and again. But Mang Figa standard 7, that's when I got introduced to hip hop, and that's what took me away from that culture.
Okay.
And hip hop forces you to be very knowledgeable, so you have to research, because vocabulary yakho has to be very rich for you to be able to rap.
Uh,
So, so standard 7, I became, I got into the culture hip hop.
Hip-hop, okay.
Even then, K1, you knew by C5, by 5, K1, Eponejo by 6, Pumlane,
Kanjalo, kanjalo.
Then we all became part of that culture.
Okay.
Togoza, DJ Dollar, Esprit, Abu Fly Guy, and then Fosloras. Scavengers, and so we all become part of that culture. Even Abu Questa, they joined us later.
Is it?
Yeah, they were younger.
Well, yeah.
And then Nabo Reason, but we became part of that culture. Hip hop, and it took us away from all of that gassy, hardcore.
Did you know what it means to be a gangster, or what it took to become a gangster? Like, I want to get a kushesha. Did you know the things that you'd have to go through?
Yeah.
You knew them, and you still wanted to do that.
Thinking about it now, you realize, Guti, when we are so powerful as human beings, we are so powerful, and we don't use our brains to the limit, as they say, because, I remember back then, you didn't care what you had to go through. You were always focused on the end result. But at the end of it, Nike,
Climb my feet.
Climb my feet. Amalona, not even amakavela, wobheke abopotiseli, Italian clothes. So the process, you didn't care.
You just wanted.
Yeah, if it meant you had to shoot someone, if it means you
Jehovah,
had
no, we bandit, man.
so it didn't matter, Guti, what you had to do. But what that tells you is, Guti, if we have a vision, if you can have a vision in your life, and you just focused on that vision, it doesn't really matter kangago what you go through, as long as you know when at the end goal. If somebody's willing to go rob somebody and do whatever it takes just to get to the Nike, to the BMW, what more if you're doing something good. Or great, So we were willing, we didn't care. Actually, you'd hear stories last week, upodile. But when ufuna ukuya usafuna ukuya, yeah, like ngifuna ukubangena nami uzwe bathi someone bamgacile bamshaya nge 20 iron more 20 iron but 20 years, but still usafuna ukuya, it doesn't matter. So it was that kind of environment.
Hayi abafana. Bashimane lesitutu. Yazi niyakanga. And ngithanda izinto maniqeda.
Hey.
Well, nathi siyazithanda because thina besifuna ukujola nani amakids.
Hey, and that's another thing. Those guys yibo bebathola the prettiest ladies, and they got the best of everything,
Nani ngifuna abantwana.
Now mawukhulekazi, and because of your background yethu, of coming from, disadvantage, you can say, you just want it better for your life. And isikolo ngathi besithathela good, because I remember those ngengadlala ibhola and I wanted ama soccer boots, and the time that it took for my parents to buy them, I felt good.
Taking too long.
Yeah, and there was a time that I wanted the All-Star, and the time it took for me to get one. And then you start realizing, you know what, fast. But I just spoke about soccer boots and All-Stars. Those were the seeds for where we are now. The way we were willing to do anything just to get a sneaker. Anything.
And in the new release, my Puma, you want that?
You wanted to do anything. Mark Puma to no se Puma Makotes. Amakotes, you were the in sneakers at that time. And you were like 13 years, 12 years. And you were willing to do anything.
And then it's fakeli pressure.
Hey.
Yeah, ngoba niyakhuluma nonke. Afethu mina makhriza kusasa uzwakala nalo. Now you're like,
hey. And
ngathi handbrake kamama.
Kunalelanga leli bebathi cultural day angazi basayenza manje.
Yeah.
We esikolweni ziyawa. Lelo langa ulipreparela unyaka wonke. Because ufuna ukuthi on that day uzishaye isneaker sakhe sintswembu. You only get one day to show off. And you don't want to get to that day unganaso that sneaker. So you were willing to do whatever it took.
Shish, and it's fashion ke iyathandwa njengoba kwavela ikhothane nani like ifashion iyathandwa ispread ubona nangalabo baba laba bahlala lapha ngalama mpanda shayinayo but anyway bengizokubuza ukuthi because ufunde Mponteng it's not really about Mponteng specifically but because ufunde elokishini sinalento ukuthi isilungu saselokishini hey touch and go. So I heard you talk and I'm like,
yeah.
Which one is this one now? You know? Not that I'm judging.
I know, man,
but it's rare to find someone who's articulate and someone who can, you know, even in terms of poetry and writing down.
No.
But when you started mentioning hip hop, and how you need to be cultured and how you need to be disciplined and do your research and all those things. So that's how you became like this.
That's it, hip hop. Because hip hop, you know, at the time when we were doing it, there were guys, beba funda, your multiracial schools at the time. So you had kids that were going to Dinwiddie,
Jamestown High, etc.
You know, you had kids who were by Madon View, Bedford View, by Albertine. Where did you go?
I went to Bedford View.
Bedford View, see? So those kids, when you bumped into them and there was Isaifa, Lani, you show off your skills.
Yeah.
Even if you were rapping in English, just because it sounded so raw because of the pronunciation of the words, you felt like you were whack. You sounded whack. And everyone with the twang, and, you know, when and it sounds better, even if they're not saying something dope, but it just sounds doper, you know. And you realize that yo, so you know what, I've always wanted to be the best. I've always wanted to be in whatever that I did, I just wanted to be the greatest. Not really better than everyone, but I just wanted to be great in whatever I did. There's a guy who planted that seed. He used to go, I think we are from the Bedford tonight. I think we are Bedford. So he once told me, and I was young at the time, give me, you know, Empilweni, the whole point of your life. And I wonder where he got it, but we were very young when he told me. He said, the whole point of your life is that in whatever you do, you must be the greatest in it. So if we are Shela, kumele whoever lo mshelayo, even if angekaqome athi no, that guy, no, he knows his stuff. So you really need to put that effort in whatever you do. And I never forgot it because at the time he was rapping and he was brilliant. He was really good at it. I'd never seen such talent. His name, Ntsiki Mateza. Oh man, that guy. He planted that seed in me. At the time, I didn't care. I just wanted to do whatever everybody was doing. Yeah. But after he gave me that talk, you know, our whole thing in this planet is to give off our best. Whether Bagniga's job as a cleaner, walk out of there as the best cleaner that if you're doing this podcast, come out as the best podcaster. So if you're doing these sneakers, so it always stayed with me, Guti. Greatness is the ultimate goal of everything that you do. And so when I started rapping, and every time I would go into the sci-fi and then I start rapping and everybody loses interest and it would hit me. Oh man, English yami wrong. English yami is not on point, and you know, I hit Ilapo. And sci-fi was a difficult thing because you had to freestyle. So if you don't have the rich vocab and you don't pronounce well, sometimes you want to rhyme certain things and they don't rhyme because you don't pronounce them the way you should. And then it forced me to say, you know what, I'm gonna learn this English thing. Ngafuna dictionary. I started from A, literally from A, and I would learn every night. I would learn different words, and then Ekaya, they ended up bang busy meeting. Bang busy meeting, but maybe because they thought maybe I'm going crazy. Because I would wake up at 4 a.m. in the morning. I would start rapping until sekuyisikhathi sami sokuthi ngiyogeza maybe ngaboma-6
Bathi wena.
and then ngaboma-6 ngigeze ngiyesigele mangibuya esikolweni I would rap until kuze kube isikhathi
Yo, mina bengiyokubizela umfundisi.
balokhu bangizwa ngiyi-1 lapha ekamereni ngikhala bathi uyahlanya lo mntwana bangibiza vele bathi uright kwenze njani
Bengiyokufundela umfundisi bakuthandazele nedimoni. Bathungu.
bekunalesi lady oyineni yomntana kasisi wami whenever mangiphuma ekamereni bowubona from efacini ukuthi uyangisaba kuthi umbona the way ukuthi nani lehlanya likhuluma lodwa phela leli njalo.
Oh man, that must have been so
But
bad.
that's how much it took
For you to get
ngibambe
where you
English because I did phela you just get by ekolweni zaselokishini you know noma ungasazi isilungu you just get by
As long as
as long as uphasile. But I realized because of hip hop I had to get it right and then from there I mangene emasaifeni you knew I won't say it man the guys
Knew,
they
yeah.
knew but you know when it comes to rapping and in English and the amazing part was I became like so good at it. I remember I went to AYFM and I won the Rap Activity Jam and then I got approached by State Theatre because I wrote a story. They wanted to turn the story into a script that could be acted out on a play. And I was like, yeah.
Gone boy.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was that. If it wasn't for hip hop, I wouldn't have been able to express myself or be articulate as I.
Have you written anything lately?
Lately, no, but I went on to become a writer for 10 years. I worked as a journalist. You know, I worked for newspapers, I worked for magazines, I worked for radio. So it's also because of
It stemmed from there.
Yeah.
Bengifuna ushaya ngerame one ke.
Hayi manje asengiyi-veteran sengiguqule.
Are veteran. Ngasingakaze sikuzwe. Uyi veteran kuphi singakaze asikwazi thina. Okay, poemnyana ke. Something.
Oh man.
I want to put you on this. No, ngiyacela.
Okay. It's gonna be tough to remember somebody. But it's been years.
Okay,
I haven't done it in years. Okay, let me. You remember I told you about 94, 93, 94, yes. The violence that was happening. There's something I wrote back then, back in 94. It went like, once upon a time we were friends, now turned enemies. Once upon a time we were friends, now turned enemies. Only time can heal the scars and dim the memories. Early years of lonely hearts trapped in infantries, holding hands, lost in pursuit of broken promises. The metamorphosis of a war and its atrocities. Back in 94, the war was all politics, ethnic policies discussed at block meetings, illiterate dads ready to fight their own siblings. The plot thickens, gunfights rage on weekends. A torrent of words came from old rivals. The IFP accused the ANC of being cowards. Let me take you back to a scene. It's been hours. The air is polluted by the scent of burnt corpses. Echoes of screams are heard in vacant houses, used as barricades for anger-made forces. The smell of blood tickles the hair in my nostrils. The finger on the trigger trembles and then pauses. A man wrapped in a red band walks past us. Under the weight of an AK, I remain conscious, feeling the fear passing through my eye pupils.
Sure. I'm almost in tears. This is what they do in theaters. My God.
The trigger on the finger then trembles. Can't you? Oh man, once upon a time we were friends, now turned enemies.
Yeah, man.
Only time can heal the scars and dim the memories.
Oh my God.
Oh man,
that was so good.
I've done that in maybe 10 years or something.
Sure.
10 years.
Well, I'm honored. Yeah, bonga.
Yeah,
that was
so
beautiful.
Yeah, it's the stuff we used to write back then. I wrote that when I was, I was still young, man. I was, maybe my 17, 18, 19. around there.
Sure. But that was beautiful.
No, thanks, man.
Yeah. Okay, singavala ke bye-bye. Qedile, cut. Oh my gosh. Okay, so you went on to study journalism.
I went on to study journalism. It was the only thing that could give me the platform to express myself in
makes
this
sense.
way, where I could write, and because I thought of other careers and I thought it won't give me that platform to express myself because I'm very creative in nature, and anything that has to do with creativity, I just have an inclination to just pursue,
Are you a
those kind of
Leo?
things. You don't want to know the story about my birthday. It's a
What's
long
the
one.
story? Let's
It's
hear the
very
story.
long.
No, we've got time. What's
No,
the
it's
story?
very
Spell it coffee. What?
No, it's very long. Oh my goodness.
What do you mean? How is it long? I'm asking if you're a Leo because we Leos are creatives,
So,
And I said we because
Yeah,
I'm
'cause if I
assuming we. Oh, you're not a Leo?
no, I don't even
You're
know
almost.
what am I. I don't know.
Oh,
what
shame. Guess
yeah,
so.
so it's a very long story.
What's the story behind the story? I feel like there's a story behind the story.
So, okay, let's go back.
Yeah.
So I was born in the rural areas. So where I was born at the time, there were no hospitals. The hospital was like really far. So I was born at home. Ne? So as a result,
Yeah.
at the time, the only way you could do a certificate, you had to do it at the church. So when they were doing my certificate, they had to do my sister's certificate. Omdala again.
Okay.
So my older sister. So when they were doing it, they ended up putting the same dates on her certificate and
As
my
you-
certificate.
so you guys
but
are twins.
but it's
Her
her
birthday.
Her birthday. So only later on in life, when I was like 8 or 9 or whatever, we realized the error. Now, back in those days, abokoko beba kwa mami ini midwife.
Midwives, yeah.
So, maubiyela bokoko ukuthi what was the date and month? But we some.
I want a birthday, Wade. You don't have one.
Yeah,
This is
man.
the first person I've ever met who does not have a birthday. Mind you celebrate. You
It
just
could be-
know what year.
It could be today.
It could be today. Happy
So-
birthday. Dude, he is a child. Oh my God. That is a sad story.
So yeah, that's what happened.
You
So,
just know go to Villa 19 Ban Ban.
yeah.
Hi,
No,
boy.
True story. So every year I can choose
When you celebrate.
when I want to celebrate.
I've never met someone who doesn't have a birthday.
Every year I can choose. I can choose what I do it in November, I do it in December.
No,
I
but
do
for
it in
real, what do you
January.
do? What do you do? Like for real?
You know what I do sometimes, ne? If there's a day, for an example, where I have
God,
like
sorry.
the more
This is bizarre.
the most luck, or like things is like
Birthday and
namhlanje.
This could be it.
This could
I
be-
can't. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. It's funny, but it's.
Now I've had to live with it my whole life. So
Oh my word.
It's cool,
So you
man.
just choose good I
I just choose
my
that.
lucky star.
Good Yabona today, maybe a sign. I've had people about Pupai, but he hasn't prepared with Ingo. So
Oh my god. Bakaneli Sam. It could have been winter, Marabek Shees out that
yeah,
day.
but big she's now.
So it could have been any day. Kahle kahle.
Yeah, it could be
Because
from September up until February. Could be there.
No, what I'm saying is that even in winter you get hot
Yeah,
days.
yeah.
That's why it could have been.
And Mina, where I'm from, Ula, where I was born, in Mpumalanga.
Yashisa
It's
vele.
hot throughout the year. Really, it's not like you don't get like winter.
Yeah.
This winter that we have lightos.
Yeah.
It just yabo.
Yo, you like one head. Like I've never. Nghlalang joke when people post, oh, it's my birthday today. Nghlalang, it's, oh, now you know. But like for real, when
On my
I
Facebook, there's no birthday. So
I checked.
I go through the whole year.
I checked.
You never find a Facebook
Uthi,
yeah, people
happy
happy birthday
birthday.
because I'm like, but I was confused and let me just leave it. You know, so I never put it up.
So why don't you celebrate with your sister then? On the day that it Baliwa.
Cause it's hers, and her date
Shame.
was recorded at that time. Yeah, but mine wasn't.
wasn't.
Yeah, but so I'm like, it's her day. So
Who do you want to blame? Where do we take
no one, man, and
the government, maybe?
Okay, so this is how
Ramaphosa's fault.
this is how I look at it.
Yeah.
Ne, Oguting is console. Ne, Oguti. Sometimes when I wanna be down, when I feel like I'm down, and I'm like, oh man, I don't feel. I'm like, what if it's my birthday today?
And when you're down,
And I'm
you're
down.
feeling.
Maybe this is it. Okay, let me change my mood. Just to just to get.
You
in a
have
good
to do
mood.
a lot of talking to yourself. You have to
Yeah.
have a lot of voices and a lot of personalities in your head to get yourself out of that.
Ukuthi ngiyangiphume
Yo,
lapho, ngithi, yo.
strong, yes.
But over the years I've gotten
Yes,
used to
strong.
it. I've gotten used to it.
Sheesh.
Oh man.
No, I'm never gonna get over this. I can't. But okay. How do you move from journalism to sneakers?
To sneakers. So okay, before I went into journalism, because of hip hop forces you to like look at a culture as a whole. Because hip hop, everyone tells you it's a culture, it's a culture, and so we never. Tina, when we were growing up, when you said culture, we thought of amabheshu and traditional clothes and all that, and only to find Uguti, that's not culture.
Yeah.
Those are traditions. And we've mixed it up, and now, I mean, even this day, people say we must wear our culture, or we must, and you're like, okay, but culture is actually what's happening now, how you living now, the language that you speak now. This is our culture.
Yeah.
The way we mix languages, it's our culture. So, Maui hip hop, you adopt to the American culture of things, the clothing, the lingo,
Yeah.
you know, and. So hip hop has also an emphasis on the clothing, kakhulu, and especially the sneakers. So you find within the hip hop culture, it's driven by basketball.
Oh yes.
So I grew up in Katlehong, Vele sigqoka ama All-Star. Ultimately, you wanted to rock your All-Star.
Yeah.
So when I was younger, the reason also I wrote so much when I was young is I was very curious. I was curious about everything. Guti, how is this? How does this work? And I started hearing, Guti, when you go to HMSTN, kune site la go drive abantu abamnyama khona, kune site la khamba belungu khona. And I was like, why? What is it? Is there something better about white people, or you know, what is it? Why can't we mix? So I became that child. I was very curious about everything.
And inquisitive.
Everything, and inquisitive, and trying to find out, okay, how does this thing work? And someone the other day asked me, Guti, but where does it come from? Amazingly, I traced it back. My older brother, the firstborn, Yasekaya, was into books. So one time he bought encyclopedias. Okay. This is before Google. You couldn't Google stuff back then. He bought encyclopedias, and there were so many of them. And I back then I didn't understand what it was about, but I decided, okay, let me take time and read. And you found out so much information of how the earth was formed and how humans function and everything. And I was a kid, and that just stayed with me. That fascination of how does this thing become this thing, you know? And so when I bought my first All-Star, it was a white pair, yabo? And I always tell the story because it's the seed for where we are today.
Yeah.
And ekasi, it was dusty. They were like now, ekasi. Yonke literally, but we dust yonke indawo. And ngasigcoka mawuphuma ngaphandle sesingcolile.
Yeah.
And uqala uthola le information yasekasi ukuthi hayi kumele ufake impuphu, ufake tissue, ufake chalk. Yabona mawufuna ukuthi ingangcoli nami ngachuna writing, you know, zonke thathi chalk ngiyilone.
You all did.
But the curiosity in me was that, okay, but why create something engakhona ongeke uyigcoke freely, yabo? And later on I started researching and I found out that it wasn't created for us. It's like, oh, light bulb. It was created for the concrete jungle, because in Europe it's all paved. In America it's all paved streets. And they're not thinking about Themba, Dustini, you know. So now I have to try and adapt what's not created for me to my environment and make it work in my environment. So then that thing stayed with me, Guti. We must create things, you know, that reflect who we are, that tell our own stories, that reflect our own environment. And that stayed with me, Uguti. If anything, if I create something one day, it has to reflect who I am. It has to reflect my roots. And in everything that I did, I tried to incorporate my story, my life, and everything. So, fast forward, I finished school. I want to get into business immediately.
Okay.
So this is the first business I did, and I started a business called I called it Skim Sam Events. That time. So I was about 17 or 18 at the time. So the business was, I realized metric farewell, it was tough to organize the whole thing, for us to access the transport, to get a suit, to get photography, to get the venues. It was just
all of that,
a mess.
It was a hassle.
And I was like, okay, so there's a problem and it needs a solution. I came up with this company to say, I'm going to organize metric farewells in Lokshin. I went to a K1, I went to a Pumlani, I went to just presenting to them, I'm going to organize a metric farewell. And then they said, no, it's cool. I'm going to get all the service providers in one place. You can pick and choose. I mean, how I make my money, if I bring a business to a service provider, a restaurant, they give me a percentage. If I bring to the transport guys, to the photographer. So I started the business back then. Oh man, it was so tough that Benganama Internet Cafe. So your proposals were handwritten. You had to write them by hand. And I went looking for funding because I had to move around and do things. And I found, Uguti, when you go for funding, you have to do a business plan. The first business plan, I did it by hand, Nai. And I remember I went to a first rand, funding, and they told me something that I'll never forget, because at the time I didn't know what the word meant. They said, for us to fund you, you need a collateral. Like, collateral? What the heck is a collateral?
Now you go back to that dictionary.
Yeah, you need the dictionary. Collateral. And you find what collateral is something that if that they can take. And I went back to my dad.
Yeah.
No, but if collateral, so but like lendlo yakho.
Oh my gosh, a whole house.
And that was the cue for me to go look for a job or go study.
Yeah.
Because at that time, there's no room for doing that. So I then went and I studied journalism, but my heart was always in entrepreneurship, in changing things. I've always seen whenever I would see a problem, I'd always think about how do we solve this problem.
Yeah.
And so I went into journalism, did my time there. After a while, it was fun in the beginning, but after a while I got frustrated because I just had these ideas of wanting to do this and do that. And I decided I'm going to quit. And I quit 2009. Quit my job and I went into a business like full time. But now I knew, okay, I'm not depending on parents. I've got some lump summing from working. And then it was a nightmare.
Wasn't as easy as you thought it would be.
Man, I started so many businesses. I failed. Started some. I went back. I went back to work. But I quit again. I was like, no, I really want to do this thing. I quit again. I had some successes there and there. And I think around 2017, 2018, life-changing moment happened. I think in one of the businesses I was in, I was losing everything. Things were falling apart. I had branches and they were closing down. I was losing money. Basically, I was just on the verge of bankruptcy.
Yeah.
And something happened. Somebody invited me to church, and they happened to be preaching on. At the time, they were preaching on. It was the story of Paul, and how he fell blind. But when he fell blind, that's when he really saw And that hit me because when I lost everything, Nami, I started seeing the reality of what I was doing, because at that time I'd made a lot of money but I was starting to lose the money and I'm trying everything just to keep the money. And then when I started losing it, I started seeing really good, why am I doing this? The purpose thing hit me. But why am I doing this? Why am I into this business thing? And I started thinking about, hey, I went into it because I wanted money, I wanted a car, I wanted a better house and all that. But then I remembered the kid that was so fascinated about solving things, who was very inquisitive and curious about how things work and, coming up with all of that and coming up with solutions. So that moment changed my life because I started saying, you know what? I'm moving away from this empty pursuit of money all the time. It was so tiring and frustrating and stressful and depressing. So I was like, I'm tired of this.
Yeah.
I've been running and I felt like I've been running for years. And I'm tired and I'm not seeing what I'm chasing because I get the money, I lose it. I get it, I lose it. And I said, the next business I'm going to do, it's going to be driven by purpose. It's going to be about what can I do to serve people. And so I sat down and I said, what can I do to serve people? And something that came up was, whilst I was doing all these businesses and failing in them, I would meet people and people would say to me, Mtimbane, so wenzani manje? Ayingoba wena yo. So wenza yiphi manje business, yabo? But something that struck a chord in me all the time whenever I would tell them, "Good, manje sengize nenye business, it's so, but the beauty card, I'm doing this thing," and then they would say, "Hey, into engishayayo ngawe is you don't give up. You persevere, you keep on going. I spirit leso naso, ayisiyakhuthazana ntwana ukuthi awulahleli ithawula even though ufaila kaningi and you lose it, but you never give up." And I saw ukuthi that story similar something to people. Me not giving up, it's me serving the world with who I am, because that if it inspires people, if it gives them hope, it's enough. It means I'm in purpose. Yabo? So then the
purpose-driven life.
Yes,
you know that book? Have you ever read it?
Yes. And then now the question is, how do you use this story of not giving up, of always, persevering through the hard times, to share it with the world? I can write a book, I can go around doing talks, or I can do something which is really resonates with me, which is something that I love. I love shoes. The way I love shoes, when I got money, I would spend 6,000 on a sneaker. I would spend 12,000 on a sneaker. That's how much I love sneakers. And I felt, Uguti, you know what? I'm going to use this thing that I love so much to tell this story that can inspire other people to keep going, not to give up, to just start something out of your passion and out of your love. And it just connected, man. It connected from looking back, my whole story, say life, Uguti, shoes have been, a theme in everything that I've done.
In every season.
In every season, shoes were just so important. And I remember there were times where if I didn't have the right shoe, I didn't feel good, and I felt shoes mean a lot to people in terms of confidence, in terms of, umuntu makagcoke isicathulo, the right shoe.
Yeah.
There's something that never can change. Even me now, when the first time I gcoke All-Star, every time I would wear the shoe that I've always wanted, something about it. And I wanted to just tell that story through the shoe. And that's how we arrived here. We got to this moment.
I know you are definitely telling a story. These are so comfortable. So comfortable. I love
Thank
these.
You, man.
And I'm holding this red one because apparently this is the most sold or most popular.
Our biggest seller. Every time we have it, it sells out. It sells out all the time. Doesn't matter how many pairs we do, it sells out.
Red, but size 5 really high. But oh my God, these are beautiful.
No, thank you.
These are really beautiful. So I know at the moment this is the only, what do you call it?
Model
that you have. Designed rather. Are you looking into doing something different maybe?
Yeah, we are. We are working on a new design.
Okay.
Enye into uNkulunkulu angiphe yona is the talent. Not really good, I'm a real artist, but I just have a talent here of seeing what works or
You've
what's
got
gonna
an
be
eye
good.
for
Yeah, I've got
things.
an eye for things. So nale gift the eye, I can see if something's going to work or not. And then like really literally talent is able to learn from others. If mina ngihlala ngizitshela into one, if I can chill with you maybe for 3 months and you're doing this podcast thing, 3 months or 6 months later ngizobe sengishaya exactly because ngiyakhona that's
Absorb
yeah, I
and
know,
do
yeah,
it,
yeah.
or even better.
So once ngahlala nomuntu ngaba around something
Yeah.
for like a long period of time,
Yeah.
I'm able to get to a point where I can do it as well. So because I've been spending so much time on sneakers and really, so I got to a point where I can design as well. I can design sneakers.
Nice.
So there's a sneaker that I've designed, a new one. I've put it out on the net, and people, response was crazy because when people saw it, were like, hey, and I thought, oh, Musa again.
Yeah.
So we're working on that sneaker. It's going to be our second design.
Did you
and
design this
yes,
yourself?
Yes.
Okay. Alright, not too shabby. Yes. Okay, so you've got another design coming.
Yeah,
What
we've got
about
another design.
abantwana again?
Yeah, we're releasing, that we've been asked so many times and people come to the stores and
Yeah.
say, kitties. So we just to give a bit of information about sneakers, so for people that want to get into it.
Yeah.
So sneakers work on molds. So
Okay.
so what you do is, so when you see the sneaker, there's a mold that's done for this shape. Ne? So for an example, to do a mold can cost you find people that say it's okay, let me translate it. It's you find like 200,000, 300,000 just to do a mold for one size. So meaning if you're doing from size 1 up until size 10, you have to calculate 300,000 each mold till the size
Per
is,
size.
yeah, per size. So if you're doing a new design, it's the same thing. You have to do molds for that new design. So for kids, because we started with the adult sizes. So for kids, we have to do new molds for this shoe. So it's a huge investment, but we've done it now. They're going to be coming out. Like
You'll announce.
we're pushing for festive, before festive even, that the shoes for kiddies will be there. So, but it's a very expensive
Process.
process.
It sounds like it.
Yeah, it's not.
Unemali wena. Shh, awungayi million.
I'm upset.
Nangimangalele sengamangejiwe. All right, okay, we can't wait for that because I know you always have announcements. Hey, ngibone enye.
Yeah, there's
I'm
one.
like, yo, this guy announce enye.
So the reason we do that is the amazing thing, there's so many people I know who are multi-millionaires. Some of them are billionaires, and it's black people. And the part that hurts the most is when we were growing up, Ekasi, we never knew those guys. Some of them, but we are from Ekasi, because begana platform that they are showcased, like what you are doing now, is so important because it's giving people that look like us, that come from the same place as us, a voice to say, oh, ubuyekasi, bengazi. So, oh, he did that. Then when it's done by someone who close to
when it's possible.
It just makes it so when it's social media my vela, now I realized, but you know what, we can't do things in the dark and then sivela ngekare ezintswemo, sivela sesivela kuphi but we made it and all of that. That's the thing that creates those perceptions ukuthi ntwana ucama ukuthi amateki lawa.
Something else.
It's because the story is not being told.
There's no transparency as well.
In the light. So if Facebook or Twitter, Instagram, what they've done is to give us a platform to tell our story step by step, so that umuntu akubone mawusathengisa estradeni, mawusathengisa ebhutini, before you even got to this store. So akekho umuntu now who can stand up and say, uyashaya lo, ivele into yakhe yathi.
I don't know way.
So that's why every single milestone we reach, we announce on Facebook to show someone, even when you are inspired by it, you can go back and say, oh, these are the steps he took. And every step of the way, it was leading to this, it was
Yeah.
leading to that, it was
Yeah.
leading to this. And literally, you can see the whole brand story on my Facebook. Like, I don't post anything except the brand story because I don't want to move you away from it. I just want you to follow it from the beginning until now. So, yeah, it's just to answer you to say, yeah, we make those announcements so that there's a kid out there that needs that blueprint. You know, Guti, how did he do it? I don't have to always tell. But you know, if I must call us, I'm a PI 100, and then science that no, you can just go on my timeline and
see it there.
and see it, yeah.
How many stores do you have now?
So now we've got 4 stores.
Okay.
Right. So we've got our warehouse store, Al Road, which is also our storage, but we've got you can also buy the sneakers there.
Yeah.
And then we've got our online store,
Okay.
which is the website. That's where our business started. Online is where everything happened.
Yeah.
Really. Without the online store, we wouldn't be here. Then we've got our retail stores in the malls. We've got this one, the Newtown Junction Mall.
Yeah.
Then we've got another one, Pretoria, Semi-Max Square.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, there's things that are happening right now.
Hey, we are going international soon.
Very, very soon.
Yes,
Very soon.
I'm speaking it into existence.
Yes.
Listen, manifestations.
We receive.
International, I'm going to say that.
You know, it's funny you say that because one time in my life, the only time actually, you know, I got to travel abroad, like to Europe. I went to France on holiday. I was like, hey, I'm going to do whatever it takes to just go out, to go overseas.
Yeah.
And when I went there, when you get out of the airport, there's like billboards. And it's billboards as a Louis Vuitton.
Okay.
But if you wear fakes as a Louis Vuitton, you'll get arrested.
Oh, my
and
word.
you'll serve
Yeah.
time. And I'm like, okay, what is that? Why is it so important that they take out billboards? And then when I started Googling and I started reading up on France, and I realized the biggest contributor to their GDP, the most money that they make as a country, because if you look at them as a company, as a country, it comes from the clothing industry. So these Louis Vuittons are very important to them because that's how they make their most money from it. And then I went into Paris, and when you're in Paris, you realize something, Uti, you know, like there's stores from different countries.
Yeah.
But there's one continent where you can't find even
anything.
one store, you know, and then you realize, okay, we've been consuming, and you come back home and you find stores from all over the
Diamond
world.
Walk.
You're all over the world, but in their countries,
They don't
there's
have anything
nothing that comes from us. So that's one of the goals of Vaya, to get to that
We are shipping
level.
Vaya to the US, to the UK,
Yes.
to whatever in Asia. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, and we're doing it now, actually. We're doing
You
it.
are?
Yeah, we are selling in the UK. We are selling in so many countries. New Zealand, Romania. We're selling.
gosh.
Yeah, we're selling the shoes. The other thing that helped us the other time, we were profiled on CNN, and that just opened the market for us. So we are selling, and there is a hunger for like African stories, and you know the thing in Itandim is that every time there's a hunger for African, it has to come out looking tribal and looking a certain way. No, we don't.
Dusty and rusty.
It looks bad. It's
Yeah.
like, no, we can do things at the highest level of taste. I like what Maxxosa is doing. It's
beautiful.
It's like your African designs, but at your
In a glamour type of way, yeah.
Yes, so that even with the sneakers that we're doing, we're pushing it to that, to say, let's design stuff that tell our stories, but let's design them at the highest level of taste. Yeah.
Sheesh, good luck, man, with all of that.
No, thank you.
Actually, it's done. Yeah, I believe in, it's done, manifestations. As I said, we're speaking it into the
existence.
universe. Angisafuna ukumashela isikhathi kule nesikhuluma, but also, you are a Leo. When you were born on the 14th of August.
Done. It's done.
So mina naso celebrate birthday yethu
Please.
every year,
Please.
on the same day.
14
right?
August.
14th of August.
And can I tell you something that's funny? So there's a lady who once told me that you were born on the second week of August.
Lalela, you see?
This is a sign.
This is a sign. And
Confirmation.
You must take, confirmation.
Confirmation. Confirmation. I'm taking it.
Please.
I'm really taking
Please.
it. See on me now this year. See on 14 August.
Paris.
Assist keep.
Let's go overseas. Overseas.
See on. I got you. Being I choose the date by the way for this year.
Yeah. Oh, you see, you haven't celebrated your birthday this year.
So let's do this one
next month. Okay. But anyway, obviously you've got a website. Pages, is it only Facebook, Instagram, and
Twitter? I know we've got everything.
Okay.
TikTok. We are also on YouTube.
Okay.
We are all on LinkedIn. Yeah, but we've got on all social platforms.
Yeah.
Just search Vaya Footwear, you'll find us. And then our website, www.vaya it.co.za, via for it.co.za. Yeah.
MK will do the things and put it.
That'd be dope.
You know, since it does it right.
Yeah, because we gotta pay the bills, and you know, there's people that need to get paid as well.
I mean, yeah, background.
Yeah, and it's and to add on that one, you know, something that gives me the joy of doing this over and over again is the fact that there are people that are part of it, and you know, people see me, you know, every time they see me, I get to do the interviews, I get to be on the spotlight, but actually there's so many people in the background that have been doing
the groundwork.
Like la in Newtown, ngiphethe amanye ama-time uXolani nomposa la shop.
Yeah.
Everywhere that I go, and there's people that support me because it's me.
Yeah.
But bazongitshela ukuthi mfethu ngingathola amajitara shop, the way ba passionate ngakhona, the way ba pusha i-brand ngakhona, mfethu labantu laba ungabayeki bayakufrustana and bayifrustana i-brand. So you into engipushayo to keep going, because if there's people that love the brand this way, it's no longer my brand, it's our brand. So I'm so grateful for the people that I have. It's one of the best teams ever. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. He even went and got us coffee. How nice of him, right?
I know they're the dopest, man.
Oh,
they're the dopest. All of them are just
shout out to the whole Vaya team.
It's been a journey, but it's been a journey with them from scratch.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I always say, Aban Bati, so where did you get the funding? Where did you get the support? At least it's jail and the biggest funding I got was the human capital. The people that adopted the story, that adopted the brand when at its infancy, and when we started, Vaya, when it started, by the third week, it was 15 of us working at Vaya and on a volunteer basis. Nobody earning, but everybody willing to push. So from there, we just pushed all the way till today. We're still together. There's some that have gone to do their own things, because that's what you want, really, for people to grow. But from onset, I've had one of the greatest teams ever.
Sheesh, man. Look at you now. Hey, getting paper. All right, thank you so much for spending your time with me, Kumanami. It was really good to have a conversation. You know, I don't want to be Deborah Peta and ask you my bank statement and all these things. No, I wanted people to know Themba from the hood, you know, and all of that. And you gave them exactly that and more. You almost made me cry with that poem. Like, it's a lot.
This one is an exclusive. Never done a poem on any platform. So this one's like,
I'm so special.
This is like on some other level.
Exclusive on another level. On that expensive type of level.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, man.
No, thank you for having me. I love this platform. I've seen it and I saw what it does. I'm excited because, you know, anytime you see people putting other people on, actually, the person that's blessed here is me, you know, because if you create a platform like this, it gives me a voice, it gives our brand space, you know, to exist, and it helps to tell the story that can inspire. Even if it inspires one person, the job is done. The job is done. We've done our job. So these are the platforms that we need. And, I just want to see you all as well. Just keep going. MK, just keep pushing this thing and, impact more lives, inspire more people. That's what it's all about. Once it starts becoming about something else, then, but once you put that at the core, like what you're doing now and profiling people and giving them a voice, that's what it's all about.
Like you said earlier on, it's all about the community.
Yeah. Let's build this community.
Let's build the East Rand community, and then we shall move upwards together.
Yep.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. This has been with Themba, with ADN Lifestyle, and with Senate rather. Please like, follow, share, subscribe. Subscribe.
Hey, subscribe, please. Sting as many of you. Who knows? We might even invite you to our birthday party.
An
14
exclusive
August.
exclusive birthday party.
Just subscribe, man. This is like a dope platform,
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. ADN Lifestyle, and we out. Bye. Thank you.